Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Karina Jenkins, and I am the Graduate Program Manager within the Office of Professional Programs. I want to welcome you to today's UMBC Community Leadership Fall 2020 Open House. Before we begin, I'd like to go over some housekeeping items. Please note that this session will be recorded for quality assurance purposes. In order to provide the best experience for you and all other attendees, please keep your microphone muted throughout the session. If questions arise during the presentation, please feel free to utilize the WebEx chat feature to submit your question. We have outlined a Q&A period at the end of the presentation to address your questions. In the event that we are unable to answer your question, either Renee Eisenhuth, who's your program coordinator for community leadership, or Dr. Sally Scott will touch base with you directly via email. We hope you enjoy the presentation, and without further ado, I introduce you to the Graduate Program Director, Dr. Sally Scott.
Thank you very much, Karina. I'm really happy to be here with you today, and I'm hoping during our Q&A session, maybe we can, in addition to whatever you want to put into the chat, we can have some direct question and answer. You can unmute yourself. But first, we'll go through a set of slides to introduce you to the Community Leadership Program. It is a relatively new program at UMBC, and we're off to a strong start with some wonderful set of students. So I'm glad you're here to learn about it. Next slide, please. So as Karina said, I'm the program director. I'll give you a tiny bit of background about myself and then tell you a little bit about Renee Eisenhuth, our program coordinator. I come to this work with many years of experience in the nonprofit and philanthropic fields. I started out as a Peace Corps volunteer in Senegal in West Africa. I had a fantastic experience there, and I think that really set me on the course for doing community-oriented work the rest of my life. I've worked extensively. After my Africa experience, I got my degree, my PhD, and did some work back in Africa, and then really focused on Baltimore City, working for philanthropic organization and a nonprofit organization there. Also spent some time in the Midwest running an affordable housing coalition before returning to Baltimore, and just last year starting this job as the director of the Community Leadership Program. And it's been a wonderful way to combine my knowledge and experience of nonprofits in the Baltimore area with training the next generation of community leaders. So it's been really exciting work to be able to do. Renee Eisenhuth, your program coordinator, she is expert in all matters kind of dealing with enrollment, application. She can answer a lot of the nitty-gritty questions that you have. So she's not here with us today, but she's extremely responsive, and we will give you her contact information at the end of this presentation. Next slide, please. So what is the Community Leadership Program? We are working to prepare you, aspiring and practicing leaders, with skills and experience to enact transformative social change. And we want to give you training and experience in really three areas. There's the academic component, which is very strong. There are 5 for the master's program. You'll see there are required courses and elective courses. For the certificate program, it's all for required courses. So there's a strong academic component. We also want you to learn skills, some really practical hands-on skills that will be of use in community leadership work. And that's through a combination of UMBC and Baltimore City opportunities that we're able to help you get the skills that you'll need. And then finally, it's a really essential part of the program that we have community partnerships. And you, from the very beginning, from the introduction to community leadership class, you will be working with community organizations in the area, not as an internship, but as I had in a conversation with one of the participants today, Ray McKetty, what I called an exploratory partnership, where you get to spend some time really talking to the folks who are working in the field and doing some collaborative work with them. And so it recognizes that many of you have full-time jobs already, but it gives you a a real understanding of what it is like to do that kind of work. Next slide, please. Actually, I think you skipped over one. If you go back, yeah, we want to show you a quick video. These are a couple of our students who are in the program right now.
The Community Leadership Program offers so many opportunities to extend beyond boundaries and impact the lives of so many people. UMBC is in our community, it's visible, they are involved, the staff is involved, the faculty is involved in the community, and that really makes a difference for an education, for this type of education in particular.
I think what inspires me most about the Community Leadership Program is the partnerships that UMBC has with the community that I want to service.
The Community Leadership Program at UMBC, we're expecting big things out of, and that's mainly because of Baltimore has a rich history in social change, and we're looking to really continue that history and to foster some leadership, some development in that area.
Once I graduate, I envision creating a nonprofit that focuses on physical, fiscal, and mental wellness and bringing those resources to underprivileged communities in Baltimore.
We're looking for the Community Leadership Program to embrace that commitment to social change and create the next generation of change agents.
I want to be able to serve people and help them to feel worthwhile and like they have a purpose. It gives me purpose.
So there you've seen Kieran Bailey and Laura Hare-Nerschel, two students who started the program last year and have really done a wonderful job, both in their academic studies and in their community partnerships. I think this type of students who join our program are very committed, very interested in learning and understanding the community context and also having an impact. So it really, we've really attracted some fantastic people, and you know, we just look forward to broadening our student body as we go. Okay, next slide, please. So the option here is to pursue a Master's of Professional Studies, which is 30 credits overall, or a certificate, which is exactly half, 15 credits. And we have had people start in the certificate program and decide they were really interested and wanted to expand what they were learning and then transition to the master's degree. So it's a substantial degree. It takes roughly 2 to 3 years, depending on how many courses per semester you take, but it is designed for working professionals. So we understand that you have other commitments in your life. A lot of people have family and volunteer commitments as well. So the great majority, all of our courses and the great majority of our electives are offered in the evenings. There is never a requirement to take a course during the daytime, during the working hours. And, you know, then that leaves time, you know, the nights of the week that you're not taking courses or over the weekend to do the coursework. Okay, next slide, please. So an MPS degree, Master's of Professional Studies, is a very recognized credential. UMBC has a whole array of master's degrees in this area. And what I was saying before, there are, you know, very specific skills that you will acquire going through this program, and you'll have a chance to really apply those skills as you go, as you are making connections with community partners. And our goal is to help you with your career development. We do a fair amount of reflective work, kind of thinking back to the experience that you bring to this program, and what are your strengths, what are the areas in which you want to grow, and then how do you apply that to the work, and how do you think about you know, areas that you want to, maybe that you don't have a connection to yet, but you want a connection to. And between myself and other faculty members of the program, we have a lot of connections to nonprofit and other organizations in the Baltimore area, and we can help you find the group that fits your interests. Next slide, please. Um, so we've talked about some of this already, but I want to emphasize the quality of the faculty at UMBC. I came to UMBC a year ago because I'd heard wonderful things about it all my years in Baltimore. I honestly didn't appreciate how skilled and committed my fellow faculty members would be and how much they care about the Baltimore community, the greater Baltimore area. So we were able very quickly to find a lot of courses that qualify as electives. And that means really no matter what your interest coming into this, we'll be able to help you find a set of courses. The required courses are required. You have to take those, and we've worked hard to make those really valuable. But then the elective courses can come from a variety of other fields at the university. And we want you to be able to come out of this program with a set of products, a set of papers, presentations, maps, really depends on what you've taken, but the things that you have done in the course of your studies that you can then show to prospective employers and say, this is what I am able to do. This is what I've learned how to do. So we're asking each of our students to construct what we call a digital portfolio, where it's just a place where you collect those products from your different courses and maybe from some of your volunteer work as well to be able to show in an organized fashion what you've accomplished. Next slide, please. So here is a slide from Monday night. We have our Introduction to Community Leadership course going on right now. And in addition to the students, for this class, we had 3 guest speakers, a staff person from the Southwest Baltimore Partnership and 2 long-term volunteers. And as you can see, one of the volunteers brought his son into the conversation as well. That's Sam. And, we've made the transition to online as the great majority of courses at UMBC have done. And I feel like we've been able to do that without losing that sense of connection and community that we're really building in our program. The idea is you come in and you've got a home at UMBC, and you can branch out from that to take courses in a variety of departments, but community leadership is your home base. And we've emphasized that in our community leadership introduction course by having a limited number of outdoor gatherings where we all wear masks, we all stay 6 feet apart, but we have a chance to get to know and see each other in person. And we've done that in parks in Baltimore City that are adjacent to neighborhoods where we can walk and we can talk about the issues that are brought up in the readings for that week. So we've gathered in Bolton Hill and last semester in Druid Hill Park, and we're going to be getting together in Patterson Park in a couple of weeks, and just giving us a chance to really get to know each other. And as I mentioned, it's a fantastic group of students. The center middle slide, that's Dr. Joby Taylor, who is my co-instructor on the Introduction to Community Leadership class. He is also the director of the Peace Worker program for former Peace Corps volunteers at the Shriver Center at UMBC, and he brings a wealth of experience and knowledge to this course and to the community leadership program in general. He helped create the program, actually. Okay, next slide. So here we get into some of the nitty-gritty. These are the required courses for the program. I've mentioned the top one, Introduction to Community Leadership. We also want everybody to get a grounding in research methodology to be able to read and understand studies that are done at the community level, to have a feel for that and to be able to undertake some research yourselves. Another one of the courses that was designed for this program are legal and ethical issues in community leadership. That course will be taught next semester, and we have found an excellent adjunct professor, Christine Dunkerton. She is the director of the Community Law Center in Baltimore, which is essentially a law firm for community organizations. So she knows this field really well and will bring a lot of great stories and experience, as well as her academic knowledge, to that course. Sociology 606 is social inequality and social policy, and that's a very relevant course. People who took it over this past summer said it was tremendously connected to the Black Lives Matter and other kind of protests and awareness raising events that were going on around the country, and they really said the connection was very important as they were studying. And then the final required course is the capstone project. You can see that's 6 credits instead of 3, so it's double credit. It's an intensive course where you really get a chance to dig deeper into the academic side of community leadership, and also do a sustained community partnership project and really produce something that is of use to your education and also to the organization that you're working with. Next slide, please. The pathways, that's what we call our elective courses. So everybody takes 12 credits, 4 courses of electives, and we have several pathways that are already laid out. Urban studies, the nonprofit social sector, which can include a certificate in nonprofit studies from the sociology department. That would go hand in hand with the community leadership masters. Social entrepreneurship, which is about really applying a set of skills from the business world to social enterprises that help people find jobs and create businesses. And then we have added designing your own pathway. That's working with me to really discover the set of courses within all of our electives that match your interests, and just making sure those cohere into a pathway that will have value for you as you move forward in your career. And there are a lot of great options there. Next slide. Well, when we get back together in person, which I can't wait, and we hope comes sooner rather than later, the courses that you take will be offered either at the UMBC campus in Catonsville, which is on the left. It's a beautiful green and leafy place with a lot of great places to take courses and to study when you're not in class, and to have fun. There's a lot going on that campus. We also teach out of, and specifically community leadership courses, teach out of the Lion Brothers building. That's in Southwest Baltimore. For those of you who know Baltimore, it's near the Hollins Market and near the UMBC biotech corridor. And this is an old manufacturing building that was beautifully rehabilitated into a number of offices. Some major nonprofits have their offices there, and UMBC has a set of art studios and a really nice classroom. So that's where we were gathering until COVID hit, and that's where we hope to go back to when COVID's over. And we've used that as a base for some walking tours in that area as well. It's a really interesting area. Next slide, please. So here are the admissions requirements. Bachelor's, and you'll also find this on our website, bachelor's degree in any subject. We desire a minimum of GPA of 3.0 on a 4.0 scale, though we will consider applications with a less than 3.0. We'll look at the whole person and all that you have done in your academic and professional career. We ask you for a resume and a goal statement, really saying, why are you interested in this program? How does it fit with your plans? Transcript from your academic institution or institutions. Letters of reference are optional. I really enjoy reading letters of reference just to get a sense of you as a person, but they are not required. And then there's a special information for international applicants, which is on the international admission page. and there is a $50 online application fee. Next slide. Tuition, financial aid, and billing. The cost per credit has actually gone down since we've gone online. It may, it may go back up if and when we go back to in person. There's a significant difference between Maryland residents, or there's a larger regional area that includes parts of Delaware, DC, Virginia, and Pennsylvania, where you pay the Maryland cost, and that information is also available on the website, or Renee Eisenhuth can help you find that. We are working on the needs-based scholarships. We will not have those for the spring 2021, but we are working on those for the future, so stay posted on that. If you're looking into other forms of financial aid, I would strongly urge you to contact the Financial Aid and Scholarships Office. There's the website for that. You can get that on the regular website too. And then there's the information for student business services. Next slide, please. We've gone over, you're supposed to come in with GPA of 3.0 or close, and then to maintain a GPA of 3.0 over the course of study. While the expectation is and the hope is that you'll maintain continuous enrollment, we recognize things come up in people's lives. Certainly with COVID, a lot has come up, a lot of challenges have come up in people's lives, so up to 2 consecutive semesters can be taken off. That's allowable by the graduate school. And then if you have any questions about what constitutes academic misconduct, you can take a look at the policy page there as well. I haven't had any concerns along those lines yet, but it's a good thing to take a look at. Next slide, please. Okay, we have reached our question. I want to emphasize the contact information for both myself and Renee. She has a wealth of information about the admissions enrollment administrative procedures, and can be very helpful. Karina, you may know more about this than I do. This is the code to waive the $50 fee. Is that still working?
Yes, that is our new code, DPS 2021. It is caps and space sensitive, so type it in on the last page of the application exactly as it is written on the screen.
Thank you. So no charge to apply. I think it's a great opportunity right now to to get your foot in the door. So we're going to take down the slideshow now, and if you want to turn on your video, feel free. If you don't want to, that's fine as well. But you can unmute yourselves and ask questions, or if you're more comfortable, you can put questions into the chat.
Hey, good morning. I have a question, Dr. Scott.
Good morning, Ray.
Good morning. So I was curious, will the code be sent to us? Will the PowerPoint and the code be sent to us? I don't remember if you guys spoke on that earlier in the open house or not. But will this information be sent to our emails, or will we be able to find it later on YouTube or something? Or
that is a really good question. I'm going to defer to Karina on this. What do you say?
Yes, we will be sending the code out via email along with the presentation, and I believe the video as well will be going out.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Right. So we have a question from Samara. How long will the code be available, like if we're applying for fall 2021?
It is good for certainly through the spring, for this fall semester, for the spring 2021 semester. I think we'll also be using the same code for spring semester applications going in for fall 21. But we'll have another open house session. If there's an updated code, we'll have that available as well.
And you're certainly free, Samara, to apply now and then defer to the fall. We've had several people take that, and then then ahead of time that you're in, but you don't have to start in the spring semester. So that's definitely an option.
Good morning. I had a question. Is the application process the same for alums?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, Karina may have something to add. We have had several UMBC alums apply and enter the program. And as far as I know, there is no difference in the application process. Is that correct, Karina?
Yeah, that's as far as I know. You still submit the same application.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
I will add that you will have to upload a copy of your unofficial transcript from UMBC. It does not get uploaded automatically. So that is your responsibility.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
Any other questions?
What is, and I'm not sure if you know, what is the acceptance rate?
I don't think we've run the stats on that yet, but it's been quite high. What I found is the program, people are not applying for this program very casually. I mean, they're really thinking about it, and they're really reviewing the requirements. And so the great majority of folks that have applied that we've received have been accepted. Not everybody, but I'd say the great majority so far.
Okay, thank you.
But that's that's something we certainly could start to run now that we've got several semesters under our belt. That's something we could run statistics on. Anybody have questions, not just about the program, but about Baltimore, community partnerships, opportunities?
Samara had another question. At what point in the program do we choose one of the pathways? Do we need to specify when we apply?
Excellent question. No, you do not need to specify when you apply. We recognize that you're, you may be still figuring out what you're interested in, or what you would be best suited to do. So in the Introduction to Community Leadership class, we talk a lot about, I mentioned the reflective assignments. We really encourage you to think carefully about what you're bringing to the table, what your interests are, and then we help you find a community partner just for that class. And these are all ways of helping you decide what your pathway is going to be. Toward the end of the class, we start working with you on a document, which is called our Pathways document, where you start laying out, the courses that you're planning to take, what pathway, you're interested in, how those courses fit together. If you start in the spring semester, when the Introduction to Community Leadership course isn't being taught, it's taught in the fall, I can go through that process with you individually to help you start to see what the options are and determine what your pathway would be. Okay. Was there a question about how many community partners?
Yes.
From Kelsey. That really depends on you. You'll select in the Introduction to Community Leadership course, you select a partner for that course, and we help make a match for you if you don't have a partner in mind. And that is that partnership. You're going to be interviewing a senior staff person at a community-oriented organization, and then you're going to be doing a substantial project, maybe in the last quarter of the class. So it's substantial, but it's not something you're working on the entire course. So that's one community partner. Going forward, you'll be taking other courses, and some of those other courses will have you also reach out to organizations in the community. I think more, that tends to be maybe more from a research perspective. In terms of a real partnership perspective, you will do that again in the capstone. And in the capstone, which is the double credit course that comes at the end of your master's program, and I'm assuming, talking about the master's program now, there you can stick with the organization that you worked with in the introductory course, or you can say, hey, I learned a lot there, but I want to do something different. So you can find a second organization. So I would say minimum of one, very likely more than one if you count some of these other courses that you're going to be taking. But we, in terms of our core courses, won't have you work with more than two. And the final, when you get into the capstone, you really will, that will be a pretty much close to semester-long engagement with your partner. So the folks who are coming up on the capstone course in the spring, this spring, 2021, I'm encouraging them to start thinking now about the organization that they're going to be working with, so that they can really, jump into it right after the semester begins. Sure.
For those of us who are from outside of the, Baltimore, just Maryland, is there anything you would, like us to know coming into Baltimore, or for those who apply and get accepted, like any kind of recommended literature or resources that we could use to maybe familiarize ourselves with the area or anything like that?
That's a great question, Ray. And we don't have a set of, readings that you would have to master before you came. We assume in our introductory course that, that you may need that introduction to Baltimore, and we really provide it. So that's why we're getting folks out into parks and neighborhoods in Baltimore, even during COVID. And we're reading some really interesting and detailed descriptions of Baltimore. That said, it doesn't hurt if you're interested. There's some websites that provide really interesting, at least statistical and thematic overviews of Baltimore. One that I would recommend off the bat is called the Baltimore Neighborhood Indicators Alliance. Every year they publish a report on Baltimore, and they call it the vital signs. So it's like measuring the vital signs of the city. And then, so there are a ton of statistics, but there are also narratives that help explain and tie together what the story, what the statistics are pointing to. So that's one site I would definitely recommend. If you're looking for a kind of picture tour of Baltimore and different neighborhoods of Baltimore, there's a place called Live Baltimore. That's essentially a marketing website for Baltimore neighborhoods. But they really get neighbors, residents involved in creating that. And so if you go in and click on the different neighborhoods there, it'll give you a nice feel for what's going on in those neighborhoods. So those are two websites I'd very much recommend starting with. And then if you're, continue to want more, I'm happy to provide that information. You can just contact me directly.
Thank you.
I'm just curious of the folks who are here, who is familiar with Baltimore and who's coming from out of town? Karina's familiar. You could enter that in the chat if you're willing. Okay, Kelsey lives in Baltimore. Ray, I know Ray, you're in South Carolina. Anybody else? Okay, well, we won't, oh, there we go. Okay, mildly familiar. Yeah, and two people from South Carolina. That's fantastic. Yeah, the mildly familiar with Baltimore. I think that's what we're finding. It's really fascinating to me that I think as the program's becoming better known, we're finding more people who are not necessarily in the city, but in certainly Montgomery County, Prince George's County, Baltimore County. And that's been interesting because when you're not from, you might have spent some time in certain parts of the city, but not others. So we're really trying to help folks get that broader view, inclusive view of the city. Because what I found is sometimes people see one part of the city and they say, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Things are so depressing. And then they don't realize that there's all kinds of other, there are many different parts of Baltimore. And even of the parts that they might find challenging or difficult, there are strengths in those neighborhoods. There are some amazing people, some amazing organizations, and people really working hard to help those neighborhoods recover. And we get into the history of the city, and I've got to give my co-instructor in the introductory course, Joby Taylor, a lot of credit for that. He has spent, I think, he's from Oklahoma originally, but he's been here for about 20 years. And he has spent much of those 20 years really digging into the history of Baltimore. So he has brought to light things that I, as a 20+ year resident, did not know. And now I'm really starting to look at the city through that historical lens. And it's quite fascinating because everything we see today, the patterns of investment and disinvestment, patterns of racial segregation, of institutions, vital institutions in the community rising and falling. A lot of that has deeper historical roots. And we don't expect you to become an expert on the history of Baltimore, but it's really fascinating to be exposed to that and to see some of the evidence of that in the city as it is today. If you come to downtown and midtown Baltimore, you see these empty bases where statues used to be. And those were Confederate statues that were removed in 2017. Overnight, they were just whisked out of the city or to a warehouse somewhere. And there is a whole story behind that, why those statues were erected in the first place, why they were taken down. And then the question is, what's going to replace them? So that's just one example of many of how the history is constantly changing in the city. The physical reality is constantly changing, and the meaning around these spaces is constantly changing. So we do get into that, and it's been an eye-opener for me. So I'm happy to take any additional questions, and you have my information. You have Renee's information. If you don't, as we said, we'll send it out. It's also, if you just go on to the community leadership website, it's available there as well. And we're really happy to answer questions at any time. Okay, well, if there are no more questions, I want to thank you for the ones you asked. Those were really helpful. And hope that you have a great rest of the weekend. I don't know what it's like in South Carolina, but it's a beautiful day here in Baltimore. We got the rain out of our system yesterday, and it is a nice, cool, sunny fall day.
Okay. Have a happy Saturday.
Thank you very much.
Thank You.
Have a good day.
Great. Thanks very much.